What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law, and I've got with me Colts Loyalist, my co-host. And today we're going to be talking about, second round picks. You know, since Chris Ballard's been here, there's been 9 in 4 years. That's more than 2 picks in the second round every year on average. That's a lot. Now, in the second round. Every year. That's all right. We all make those mistakes. But anyhow, I want to thank John Davis and Anthony Hurt and everybody else watching live here on YouTube. We were going to be talking about these second round picks. Some of them have really established themselves. Guys like Darius Leonard, guys like, Braden Smith. But we're going to talk about those that have yet to step up and become, a pillar of the Colts, because 9 second round picks in 4 years. 9 out of 53-man roster. Just second round picks from Chris Ballard take up 9 spaces. That is a lot, right? That's almost 1/5. That's about 1/6 of the roster is just second round picks that Chris Ballard has grabbed. So we're going to get into that right after this.
All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
And we're back. All right, Loyalist, how was your weekend? How was your Father's Day weekend?
Oh, it was Father's Day? Well, somebody forgot to tell my kids.
Me too.
No, we had a good time. We went over to see my brother, and we just had a nice, relaxed day. We waited for the rain to settle down and my brother to get off work. So we all got together about 3 o'clock, and the rain was gone already, and we just had an amazing day. You?
Well, I was busy, doing streams, not here on my channel, but other people's channels. And then, of course, I had the season finales, the last 2 games of the TBL season, which I finished off, did great. I think we won both games. The Indy Express will be going to the playoffs. Whether or not I'll be covering a home game at the playoffs is yet to be determined, because they still got 2 away games to do. So, that has to do with seeding. And if I host any home playoff games, then great. But while I was there, got contacted at halftime while I was outside, smoke break. And had some guys contact me, says, hey, man, I'm in charge of a large organization here in Indianapolis, and wanted to know what my rates were. It said that I did a great job, and he wanted to hire me. And I gave him my email. He's going to contact me, and we'll see what goes from there. But apparently it looks like my live game commentary and broadcasting coordination skills is actually getting around a little bit. Sad it's about basketball, not football, but you know what? Sports, and I love talking sports, so this is something that I want to get into, and it seems like it's starting to work out for me. So how was everybody else's day? While all of you watching this, please let me know in the live chat or in the comments, if you watch this after it stops going live, how was your Father's Day? If you're not a father, did you celebrate Father's Day with someone who does? Because I'm curious about that. We all know that in May that Mother's Day is highly commercialized, and everybody, but not a lot said about Father's Day. But there are a lot of really good guys out there that deserve at least a happy Father's Day in recognition of what they have done to raise their children, to prepare them to be adults in the wide world. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Again, thanks, Anthony Hurt, appreciate you. And Nomadic Brian, what's up? Thanks for being here. Don't forget, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so you're notified next time I go live or upload a video. Make sure all notifications are turned on because YouTube is funky that way. We know this. I know this. You know this. It all happens. Don't forget, check out the links in the description below this video. The top one is right there. It's for the Super Chat. Please use that. Don't use the YouTube Super Chat. I'd appreciate it very, very much. And also, there is a link to my Patreon. Here's my Patreon supporters. Ta-da! They haven't changed in about a month, but you know what? It's a downtime. I understand. But shout out to each and every one of you that are on this list. I appreciate you so, so much, and I will be getting more stuff. I'll be uploading something Patreon specific for you guys sometime in the next couple days. Don't forget also, there is a link in the description to my merch shop. Make sure to check out the Colts Law merch shop. The link is in the description of this video. There are a ton of high quality, reasonably priced items there that you can choose from. All you got to do is just click one button and you can go and check out all these great merchandise items. So, as we discussed earlier, we're going into this year. We have some questions at specific positions, and it has a lot to do. And each one of these, most of them, have to do with these second round picks, right? I mean, they really do. Like, who's going to be our number one starter at cornerback? Well, there's a second round pick in that conversation, and Rock Ya-Sin. Who's going to be the top in the top wide receivers for the Colts? Well, there's a second round pick, 2 of them to be matter of fact, in that conversation, and Michael Pittman Jr. and Paris Campbell. Pass rush, who is going to step up in the absence of Danico Autry and Justin Houston? Second round picks are in that one as well. I mean, we got a ton of them. Take your pick. We got Tyquan Lewis, who really stepped up last year, did a really good job. We got Kimoko Toure, who has had injury problems. We've had Ben Banogu, who has had issues of his own. We've got all sorts of guys that are second round picks that need to step up to become pillars of this Colts team in the 2021 season, just so that we're competitive, right? Because let's face it, the Tennessee Titans, they won the division last year. And give or take a few players here and there, they're still looking to win the division again this year. And if the Colts are looking to take that division title back for the first time since 2014 or something like that? It's been a while, ladies and gentlemen, since the Colts have been division champs. We're going to need our second round picks to step up. Loyalists, I want to know, please, who is the most important second round pick that needs to step up this year?
Okay, most important. For me, I guess it would have to be Kimoko Toure. I just really feel like if we can get this pass rush sorted out, if we can get some pressure from the outside edges to go along with the pressure that we already have being generated by Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner, I think that's going to have the largest impact on us, simply because it makes everybody's job on the defense easier. If we get more pressure on it, then, like we've always discussed, the secondary doesn't have to cover as long. The linebackers can take quicker reads and jump on routes quicker. I mean, this outside pass rush, whether it's Kimoko Toure or Tyquan Lewis, I mean, like you said, he took a step last year. But I think just from listening and watching some of the interviews this year and stuff, he's doubled down on his commitment. Now a lot of this has happened after the birth of his child, and that was his motivation. I think he was always a good player, but I just think that was that trigger. How we all have that thing in our lives that sort of, it doesn't mean that we weren't taking things serious, but it just ignites that bigger fire on us. And like I said, so I think I'd like to see Kimoko Toure really just give me a good solid year. Let's see what we got with this guy. I mean, and the sad thing is this is a contract year for him. So it's even more pressure on him to perform, at least to enough to where the Colts can, be able to figure out, what do we have with this? Is this something that we have to renew our, the contract on, or is this something that we're going to have to move on from? What's the most important one to you?
Well, it's kind of a toss. I mean, a lot of these guys, man, they play some very, very important positions. Rock's got to get away from grabbing, pass interference and holding calls, because that's free first downs and field position, right? Like you said, Kamoko Toure, he needs to stay healthy, step up, be a big third down pass rush specialist. If Paris Campbell can stay healthy, this is one of the most dynamic offenses in the NFL. I'm just saying that. In my opinion, I think that if Paris Campbell can stay healthy, we got weapons and weapons upon weapons on offense. Would be a top 5 offense, in my opinion, if Paris Campbell could stay healthy. He's that important because of how dangerous he is across the middle of the field, and some of his the routes that he takes, opening things up. I think Paris Campbell is by far the most important second-round pick when it comes to the offense. Now, defensively, again, it's tough. I mean, Kamoko Toure is in his contract year this year. Will he even be a Colt next year? That's a big question, right? He's going to have to stay healthy. He's going to have to show something this year. For he himself personally, this is the biggest year for Kamoko Toure. Not necessarily for the Colts, but for him himself. He has to stay healthy, and he has to show that he can provide some measure of consistency throughout the year when he's called upon as a pass rush specialist. Otherwise, he won't be on the team next year, right? And I hate to say that, because honestly, I love Kamoko Toure. I think Kamoko's got a ton of potential. I've done film rooms on him. He's shouted me out on my film rooms on his Instagram and stuff, congratulating me and telling me that he has respect for me in my film room. But my guy, Kamoko, I understand bad luck happens, right? You dealt with injury. You dealt with having all this stuff that's going on. We got to put everything behind us, move forward, and be productive this year. Because, honestly, I don't want to see what happened to you happen to a lot of other guys out there. Like Clayton Gathers, right? A lot of people like Clayton Gathers at safety. Had issues staying healthy, had to let him go, right? That's what happens. I think Kamoko has a lot more potential than what Clayton had at safety. So if Kamoko can show that, get out there, and hopefully his injuries don't hamper him long term. That's another thing. Because you got to think about it. Toure, I mean, that was a nasty ankle injury. But when I watched the final 2 games of the year last year, he still has that burst. He didn't show it early when he first came back, but at the end of the year, I seen that burst from him. I seen that edge bend. He still has it. I think this year we're going to see something out of him. He's not going to be an every down guy. He'll be that Robert Mathis, like when Robert Mathis was here near the end of his career, when he was just there on third down or second and long or something of that nature. I don't think he has. He's 250 pounds. You wouldn't think that, but because of how thin he looks, but still kind of light for defensive line, So I love Kamoko Toure being that guy. I just hope he steps up and stays healthy, just like Paris Campbell. I mean, that's just all there is to it. What are your thoughts on Rock Ya-Sin? I see a lot of people in here talking about different players, different positions. What about Rock Ya-Sin? How important is it for him to take that third-year leap at cornerback?
See, and for me, that was when you asked me about who was the most important. that was what jumped to my mind. Because I mean, I understand that what way you said it was Harris Campbell is the most important second year on offense. Okay, that on offense, I agree. But like I said, when you started asking me about for the team, I was like, okay, is it Rock or is it Toure? And the reason I leaned with Toure is because I felt like his improvement will also help Rock and the rest of the second.
Yes.
But and something about Toure that have you heard? I mean, are we expecting him to come and because I know he had that cleanup on his ankle and stuff. Are we expecting him to come and be ready for training camp?
Yes.
Or do you? Okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this is huge, huge. I mean, because you look at yeah, they're not in pads and all that right up front, but you get to see that explosion. You get to see that even if they're just in, what I mean. And I think that'll give us a lot of information about where Toure is and stuff. But
Now,
as far as
in training camp, first day of training camp is jerseys and half pads, shoulder pads. Second day, they generally have all their pads on, so we'll be able to see all of it from the get go.
But as far as Rock goes, I'm more of I know a lot of people disagree with me, and I've caught a little bit of heat, but I think Rock. I would be willing to bet that Rock's going to be with us next year. Okay, and the reason I think that they're going to re-sign him is because first off, I think that Rock is going, or not re-sign him, but you know what I'm saying. This year he's going to come in and he's going to take that standard progression. If you look, I mean, we talked about Tyquan Lewis earlier. Year 2, he struggled. You know what I mean? He had his was more injury based, but my point was he still had that life motivating moment and stuff between year 2 and 3. I think Rock is very similar. Watching some of the clips and some of the interviews about how he's dealing with this year and stuff. I mean, there can't be anybody with a larger chip on their shoulder right now than Rock. And I mean, I really feel like just the type of person that I think that he is from what we've seen with the interviews and stuff, I think that alone is going to be enough that it's going to, I'm telling you guys, you just watch, he's going to start cleaning up and we're going to see that leap that everybody has been clamoring for. The thing is it doesn't always happen in year 1 or year 2, so especially at the position at a cornerback. I mean, that's like one of the more vulnerable spots. You're out there, you don't know what's going to happen. You've got to adjust and react. So like I said, I think Rock, I'm very high on Rock. I think that he is going to come in and I think he's going to take the challenge of whether it's Marvell Tell or Rodgers or anybody else that's going to challenge him. I think he's going to, put some people's back in their place as far as, hey, I'm still the guy.
Davis makes a good point. John Davis, what's up, my guy? Says Rock has the effort and the talent. He's just slow on the learning curve for the NFL. And I'm going to have to agree with that to a point. And a point of that is that he has a history with, wrestling, a physical guy, grab, pull. He was allowed to get away with a lot more in college than what he does in the NFL, because there's more referees on the field, right? So they see things a little bit better. It can take time for a cornerback to get used to his position in the NFL as opposed to, other positions like, say, a running back or a wide receiver or something of that nature. Usually a wide receiver takes 1 or 2 years. Generally, you see that jump in the second year for a wide receiver. Cornerbacks generally don't. I mean, they'll have splash plays where you'll see it that rookie year. And then the second year, they generally improve. And the third year is usually that big leap that you expect from a cornerback. Go look at some of the best in the NFL that most of them weren't right out the bat. Jalen Ramsey, right? Most of them, when they come in, it takes them a little bit to get good. Generally 3 years. So I agree. I think that year 3 should be a big one for Rock Ya-Sin. But he's going to be fighting with two dudes. Another guy that came in with the draft with him and Marvell Tell came in later. And then, of course, TJ Carey, who, when Carey replaced Rock Ya-Sin late last season, TJ Carey played exceptional, really, in his replacement at the outside corner. So, Rock, I think, will be fine, just as you say. He just needs to sit down and learn from those veterans. He needs to learn from TJ Carey. He needs to learn from Xavier Rhodes how to do man coverage. Zone coverages, he has no problems with, it doesn't seem like. It's just in man coverage, when he's tight on somebody, he feels like he's getting burnt and he feels like he's got to grab. There's got to be ways that how he positions his body and his footwork so that he doesn't have to use his hands nearly as much to grab and pull. Nano 5 and 5, what's up? Well, hopefully you and everybody else had a great Father's Day. We'll just say that way. Delusional Patriots fan, thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate you being here as well. I want to talk about Tyquan Lewis. Okay? Dude's a stud. Second year, I wasn't all that impressed. Last year, he had to come in at times, and he did a very, very good job. There was times when he stepped in and was better than the starters, especially against the run. I feel like Tyquan Lewis should be that DE2 this year, where a lot of people think that Pay will end up being rather than the DE1. But I think Pay has more pass rush ability, I think. So he'll probably end up being the DE1 in my opinion. And Tyquan Lewis, watching him play that DE2 position out there on the edge over the right tackle last year was just some of those were just works of art. Some of the plays that he established. I threw out a tweet last night with a little all-22 clip against Derrick Henry. And he actually got double teamed. He got hit up hard by the right tackle, and then the fullback came up and chipped him as well. And he shook them both off and made the tackle for loss against Derrick Henry. That shows what you can really expect from this guy at times. So I think Tyquan Lewis in his fourth year will be that dude. He didn't get all the starter snaps last year. He probably will this year, especially with Dio Odangbo, being on the IR most likely. So I fully expect him to get a full-time snaps. And could we see him make that massive jump? Could we see Tyquan Lewis? I mean, we saw flashes last year. Could we see a huge jump from him?
Yes, I definitely think so. I think, not only, like you said, I think last year he took a nice, sizable jump. You know what I mean? I think it was more than just flashes. To me, it seemed like last year was where he started finding some of his consistency. But like you said, with more reps, with more opportunities, I think he's only going to progress. And also, I mean, I sort of think about it and I see how he's sort of on the same path that somebody else was last year in Grover Stewart. And he's seen Grover Stewart come in. I mean, now I think DeForest helped make everybody better on the line. But he's seen Grover come in, and he's seen that, he just put his nose down. He thinned himself out. I think you've noticed Lewis looks like he's shedded a few pounds this year. He said trying to help with his agility and speed. Like I said, I think he sees Grover and he sees what he did. I think that's what he's expecting for himself this year, as are a lot of us Colts fans.
So, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday I joined the Bills content providers, Buffalo Fanatics. You can go check it out there. I think it might have been the last stream they had. It was it's titled something about Tremaine Edmonds. But I joined about 40 minutes in, and I'm there the rest of the stream for a good, almost an hour. So go check that out. I was representing the Indianapolis Colts, and check out that really good channel, Buffalo Fanatics. They got, it's more of a group of people. It's like a whole host of people that do different things, whereas I sit here and talk football, and then I also do film rooms, and I do live streams, and I do uploads, and they've got guys specifically for each and every one of those things. They've probably got 6 or 7 different people working over there. And they put out some really good stuff. So go check that out. I understand it's a Bills thing, but I mean, we do play against the Bills this year, and we played against them in the wild card last year. So, but go check out that stream. Let me know what you think about how I represented Indy and whether or not you agreed with my answers to some of those questions.
Well, I'll tell you what, I sat and watched. I got on because I was like, well, I want to get familiar with. So I watched the earlier part of their show before you came on. Yeah. And yes, I watched it afterwards too. But my but something that was really cool watching them and stuff is Buffalo, in a lot of ways, is a mirror image to where the Colts organization is. You know what I mean? There is just a lot of similarities. And you hear them talk and stuff, and then I go back and I reflect on some of our conversations and some of the conversations that you've had with the chat and stuff. And it's just like, wow, there is just a ton of similarities, you know, with the two organizations. So I found that pretty interesting.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to, hey, guys, don't forget, please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so you're notified next time I go live or upload a video. And when I say tag that like button, that is the best way you can support this channel, because the way YouTube, the analytics works, the more likes means the analytics says, oh, this is a video that people enjoy. Maybe we'll, post that out on other people's walls once in a while and maybe get some more traction. So I would appreciate that a lot. Don't forget there's a share button right underneath Loyalist right here on the stream. You can share it to your favorite social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, I don't care. Some blogs and vlogs and whatever it is, that people talk Colts. You can do me a huge favor by sharing it to those that you're part of as well. Guys, we got other second round picks. Will Michael Pittman Jr. step up and become the number 1 wide receiver this year? That's an interesting question, because last year, early on, he dealt with new team, no off-season reps, brand new quarterback, new playbook he had to deal with. Then a couple weeks in, he had an injury, was out for until about mid-season, comes back, ends up with over 600 yards receiving in basically half a season. Do we believe that Michael Pittman Jr. can be that guy, can be that number 1 receiver to take the edge off and be a primary target for the Indianapolis Colts? Loyalist, what are you thinking?
I hope not. And there's a reason to that, okay? For me, I think the Colts' greatest asset is the fact that you don't know what we're going to hit them with. You don't know, are we going to hit them with, Pittman Jr.? Are we going to hit them with, running the ball? I mean, there's just, our offense is so diversified. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, I want to see Pittman Jr., I want to see all of our receivers explode, okay? But what I mean is, I think if you have a clear-cut number 1, that just sort of gives you something to key on, something to lock on, And I like the fact that, okay, do we have to worry about Campbell, Hilton, or Pittman Jr.? Well, guess what? You decide. Because whoever you're gonna put that extra focus on, that's who the Colts are gonna, okay, that's covered. Let's go over here, or dump it off to one of our running backs. Like I said, for me personally, I like the concept of not having a clear-cut number 1. I like the idea of whenever they're in there trying to game plan and stuff, I like the Colts because they have so many different ways that they can, you want to sit there and stack the box to stop Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, and Nyheim Hines? Please do, no problem. Okay, we'll sit there and we'll let our front 5 put a wall up that you can't penetrate, and we'll take it downtown with a T.Y. Hilton or a Paris Campbell. Or hit, Pittman Jr. on a crossing route. So do I think that Pittman Jr. can get 1,000 yards this year? Absolutely, especially with the extra game. And everything's obviously, as long as they're healthy and injury-free. But he has the talent. He has the speed and the size. Okay, like I said, he's got the right coach, and now we've got a quarterback who, if for some reason the passing lane or the way the play is designed is not right there. We've got a quarterback who can roll out or buy an extra second or two for him to open it up a little bit deeper, or come back to the quarterback and bail him out. And that's something I noticed, watching Pittman Jr. last year. He was really good at that with Rivers. Even so, old man Rivers wasn't out of the pocket a lot, but you see whenever he was, Pittman Jr. was really good at making himself easily found and stuff. So like I said, I hope he does, just for the simple fact that it keeps everybody guessing. But that doesn't mean that I don't want him to go out and score, 14 touchdowns and get 1,300 yards receiving. Heck yeah, let's do it.
All right, Delusional Pats fan says, if Carson does anything consistently, he throws the ball downfield. Now, I am going to say this. That also has a lot to do with the plays called, okay? That has a lot to do with, the coaching and how that offense is ran. A lot of those plays were called for downfield stuff. And Frank Reich does play that, but he's more of a consistent, get the ball out of your hand quick, short, quick, high percentage throwing, passing. So you will see the downfield throwing more often with Carson, but at the same time, than what you're used to with the Colts anyhow. But at the same time, I think you're going to see him use a lot of quick release short patterns more so than what you were used to seeing in Philadelphia. A lot of guys in here who agree with you about, like John Davis, I'm not sure we have a true number one, and that's okay. What's up, JDW? Appreciate you being here. Brian says he hopes that Pittman is the number one wide receiver. I think he could. Going back to Michael, I think he's got the skills to be that. He's big, he's tall, he's strong. Kind of reminds a little bit of Julio. Maybe not as much speed, right? But kind of reminds the style that Julio plays, I think. Good route running skills, physical at the catch. Just all around good player, and can block, right? And can run block, which will help him stay on the field more often. Very similar to Zach Pascal, right? That forgotten wide receiver that the Colts have. I'm with you, Loyalist, on, you know what? I would rather see 3 guys with 900 yards receiving than 1 guy with 1,400 yards and a bunch of guys with 500 yards. That I'd rather see that than the other, because that means that's showing there's multiple weapons on the Colts. That's showing that you can't just take 1 guy out of a game and be like, all right, we got this passing game locked down. We want to be able to, like you're saying, defenses don't know where the attack is coming from. You can't just double down on one side of the field and think that, okay, this game's over because they have nowhere to throw to. Martin Hazel, thanks. What's up, guys? But anyhow.
Something else you just mentioned real quick, and I remember watching a lot of our big plays last year, whether it was through the run game or through the pass game. You've seen Zach Pascal, Mo Alley Cox, Pittman Jr. These guys weren't just, let me shield them. They were putting the lumber to people. They were springing these 15, 20-yard runs and turning them in, or receptions, and then turning them into 45, 50-yard, runs or receptions. So like you said, I think that blocking element is so key with the Colts, because like you said, I think if Carson Wentz can do that quick pass, get that ball out of his hand, especially early in the season before he, gets his feet planted and gets himself comfortable, I think that's huge. So if you can sit there and you have your wide receivers, I'm not saying that T.Y. was never a good blocker, but it just seems like these last couple of years, everybody's like, T.Y.'s dropping off. But I think he's excelling in areas that we're just not used to seeing. He is decent at blocking, and he's more of a shielder, but he's sort of a small fella. He's supposed to be that way, But like I said, T.Y. has gotten a lot better at doing the extra stuff, going that extra mile in areas that just a lot of people seem to overlook and stuff.
Yeah. The last second round pick that I feel like has to put up or shut up, basically, on this team. And this is how I feel about him. There are other people out there that are higher on this guy than I am. Ben Banigou, defensive lineman for the Colts. I feel like this is a put up or shut up year for him. I feel like he won't even make it, past this year. If he might not even make the roster. I feel like Ben Banigou is on the roster bubble. He is a guy that legitimately might not make the roster. Other people think that this is the year he's going to break out. Zach Hicks, I've seen that a ton from him. But him and I disagree on a lot of stuff. This is one of them. The thing about Banigou, I don't see anything that he excels at, right? Generally, you want to see something that a player excels at so that he can make that his strength and lean on that. And with Banigou, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing him as an all-around rounded guy, but kind of average across the board on everything. And there's not something that, is just explosive or incredibly strong or very, very smart and being able to see a play before it happens or something of that nature. He's just, to me, he looks average across the board, not to mention the fact that, rumor has it that he's missed games because of loafing during practice. This is the off season, the preseason, that is a put up or shut up for Ben Banigou. What are your thoughts?
And the thing is, I'm very similar in the way you are, but I mean, it's like there's certain things that you just seen. I mean, like, okay, with Tyquan Lewis, in year 2, you've seen those flashes, you've seen that thing that jumped out and got your attention. And go, oh, okay, I can see how that can work. You know what I mean? Or Rock Ya-Sin, no matter, there was plays, there was stuff that he did that, whereas with Banigou, like you said, it just seems like he doesn't have that grit, that hunger, that,
Mm-hmm.
to me, that I would think that you would want as a defensive player. He seems more of the, hey, I want to be your friend and silly type person, which I'm fine with that as long as when you get in between the lines, that guy sits on the bench and you bring out your inner beast, and I just don't see it. I like you said, everything is just sort of unimpressive. I don't want to pile on him or anything, but it just, to me, he just seems to lack that explosive nature in any area, like you said.
Okay. Guys in here saying that Kamoko is going to have a huge breakout. It's his 4th year. It's past time for him to have a breakout year, right? It is. This is one of those years for Kamoko Toure. If he doesn't show up and be consistently available, because the best ability is availability, and if he can't do that and then show consistently that he gets pressure, he won't be on the team next year. I got a feeling he'll be on the team this year. And I love Kamoko, and I love his explosiveness, and I love his bend, and I love his change of direction. But it's just, man, he's got to stay healthy. So, yeah, that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have came to that time. It's 38 minutes into the live stream. I'm going to jump in to the live chat. That's right. I'm jumping into the live chat, and if you guys want to use a super chat or anything of that nature, if you have the ability to and want to support me, please use that donation link right there in the description, or go check out my my merch shop. I'd really appreciate that as well. I got some really cool stuff over there. New stuff I just actually put up last week. So, John Davis, still wondering about Toure and the other defenses. Blah, 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 blah. I will learn how to speak English sometime this year. And the other defensive ends not drafted this year. Campbell will be good if he can stay healthy, and that's a big if. What's your take? We've talked about that, and fully 100% agree with you. getting down here. Let's see here. Imagine, Anthony Hurt says, if Dio and Pay could play anything like Freeney and Mathis, along with Buckner and Stewart. Oh, man. Okay. We have a crap ton of defensive linemen that are 4 years or younger on this team. A crap ton. I'm not putting all my chips into Pay and Dio. All right? Be great if they turn out great. I need 3 consistent players out of all those guys that we have been mentioning today, along with Dio and Pay. 3. 2 starters and a swing guy. That's what I want to see. Okay? The rest of them, if they don't break out, they don't break out. But, man, there's like 6 guys that are in that list that could potentially take over those spots that we desperately need on the defense. So as long as 3 of them, I'm good about that. Getting through here.
Hey, something else that I've been thinking about also is we sit there and we're talking about who needs to really step up and stuff, and this is probably going to be a little shocking to most people, but somebody I'm wondering that was also a second-round draft pick in 2018, and that's Darius Leonard. Now, let me explain. Darius is awesome. Not saying that, okay? But now Darius is stepping into this different role, okay? Everything about his game is based on natural instincts, based on, just feeling the game, speed and reaction and stuff. Now, with all these extra responsibilities, whether it's doing film studies and stuff, does that put a workload on him that maybe affects his play on the field? And then what I mean that is, does he spend a little extra time trying to wonder, am I seeing this right? Or is he still going to have that natural, fire off the ball and just go with the first read instincts, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure exactly how the Colts are planning on, I know they're splitting up the mic calls between Okereke and him as far as who takes in the calls and stuff. But is there, are we starting to clutter his head with too many responsibilities that might slow him down on the field? I mean, we mentioned earlier in the video how his pass protection had fallen off a little bit. Now, whether that was just, through trying to get familiar with playing alongside Okereke more snaps or what, I'm not sure. Was it because of the quarterbacks we were up against? But I just was wondering what your opinion on with this transition that Leonard's going to have to go through this year. Do you see that it holds him or maybe even pushes him back a little bit in his productivity, or do you still see him continuously growing?
I think actually, I don't think it's going to hold him back. I think a lot of this is going to have a lot to do with how well he and Okereke mesh. Okay, he's used to having Anthony Walker there to call things out on defense, and now it's not Okereke. We found out it will not be Okereke that will be making these calls. It'll be Darius Leonard, and that's kind of shocking because everyone thought that Okereke would be that guy, being that he's taking over the Mike linebacker. But Darius was a hit pocket to Anthony Walker, as you were saying. So now he's reading and making sure everybody gets in position. But I don't think it's going to hold him back at all because of the energy he already brings. He already has this energy. He thinks fast and reacts fast. Once that ball is snapped, it's instinct that you see from him. He's not thinking nearly as much. It's mostly instinct, read and react. Before the ball is snapped, that's when the cerebral part is going to come in. And the more I think that him and Okereke can start to mesh later in the season, as the season progresses, I think both those guys will be able to even play faster because he won't have to make sure that Okereke is in the right spot or keeping an eye on a certain player or something of that nature, because Okereke will have more snaps because he's, the starter now. So you might see a little bit, but I don't think it'll be too bad. Not not once the ball snapped. You might see him a little more active before the ball is snapped, but I think it'll just be more his natural read and react after the ball is snapped. Ladies and gentlemen, Martin Hazel comes in and says, "Hope you all had a happy Father's Day. I got a 2-cycle weed whacker from my wife. I wonder what she wants me to do." I don't know.
Straight out his man cave.
But I'll tell you what. I think it's funny that you got a weed eater. All right, for Father's Day. It's funny. That'd be like if I got my wife an iron. Right? What would happen if you got your wife an iron for Mother's Day? She would use it on you and not in the way that you want.
Nope.
But it's okay to get the guy working materials. It's kind of odd.
Yeah, it's a secondary Mother's Day.
Right? It's like, okay, now I get what I want on Mother's Day, and then on Father's Day, I get to have him do work, which is what I want anyhow, to make life easier on me. Shout out to all the mothers and all the fathers out there who bust their butts trying to raise their children properly and get them ready for life out in the real world. I know how difficult it is to do that and hold down jobs and pay bills and deal with life yourself. So whether you're a mother, whether you're a father, whether you're an uncle that steps in and helps out, or an aunt that steps in and helps out, or a grandma and grandpa, see those multiple different types of guardians out there. And man, shout out to all of you, because it's awesome that even though there are a lot of people out there that shove their responsibility of their children off, there are a lot of others out there that'll step up and take on that responsibility in place of that. So good for you guys.
I'd like to give a shout out to Robert Mathis.
All right.
I was reading how he sat there and he was helping him and his gridiron gang and stuff are sitting there and helping out these schools and stuff in the local area. I just, you sit there and you talk about other people taking on some of the responsibilities and helping out and stuff. I mean, my kids aren't in that school system, but I couldn't imagine how amazing it would be, to sit there and have this guy just speaking to him and just, putting some of that energy out there. I mean, it's just amazing. I'm mad respect for him and everything he's doing right now.
Question. No, actually, Martin says, don't forget about Darius and JT. They were second rounders too. There's a lot of second rounders. Braden Smith was a second rounder. A lot of these guys are established. And yes, they are pillars of this Colts team. But basically, this stream was more about, second rounders that need to step up into their roles. Darius and JT and Braden Smith, they've already stepped up into their roles. We can't ask them to do any more than they're already done. At least I can't. Brayton Nicholas, thank you for joining the stream. Appreciate you being here. Smash that like button if you haven't smashed it yet. Wouldn't it be nice to have a number one so you don't have to heavily rely on a scheme and just have that guy that you could say, yo, go make a play and make things happen? Well, yes. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go to them every time, right? I get what people are saying. I get, understand. I'm sure it's the same way with what Loyalist is. Just because, what you're saying, just because we're spreading the ball around doesn't necessarily mean there isn't that guy where things break down and a quarterback looks to go make this happen. Go make this play, right? Yes, I think Michael Pittman can be that guy. I think Michael Pittman is that guy. I think he showed it last year, as you were saying. Things break down, he comes back. T.Y. was really big with luck in that situation, coming back when things broke down to find that open spot. Yes, I think we do have a number one. I just don't think the scheme, our offensive scheme, will allow for one guy to really take over an offense. I think it's more of a shared responsibility scheme rather than lean on one or two guys. That's where I'm coming. Is that kind of where you're coming from too, or?
Yes, absolutely. Like you said, I mean, I don't even. What are people declaring as number one? Is there a certain amount of receptions? Is there a certain amount of touchdowns, yards? What is it you're claiming your number one? Like you said, I think we have players that have those characteristics that you're talking about. I mean, Naheem Hines, he's somebody who you can really count on whenever you're in third and short, to get you that first down. You know what I mean? There's just so many things. And the thing is that now if you sit there and you only have one person to take away, then that team's going to be a lot easier to defend than a team like the Colts where you have, like I said, multiple people that can do that particular task as far as getting open.
Yeah. It's about moving the sticks, and when you have multiple people that can move the sticks, that's all that matters. JDW, what's going on? I already talked to you about that earlier. Delusional Patriots fan says that Mo Alley Cox might be the most slept on tight end in the NFL for 2021. Do you think so? Or do you think that Jack Doyle might have a bounce back year? Or do you think the fourth round rookie, Kylan Granson, will have a nice rookie season?
Here again, I don't think it's going to be one person or the other. You know what I mean? I know it sounds like a cop-out, but that, you sit there and you call it the scheme, but that's what the team has been built around. That's, Ballard's, you've got Doyle and you've got Mo Alley Cox. They can both block. They can both get down the field and get open. Now, as far as that goes, I'd much rather sit there and have Doyle and blocking and protecting Carson and sending that big old giant of a man, Mo Alley Cox, down, 12, 15 yards down the field, just stick that big old paw up and snatch it out of the air. But then again, we haven't even seen what Granson has. We've seen some of the speed and some of his, quote, unable to blocking ability, you know what I mean? And so, like I said, I don't see that there is any one person that's going to outshine. The thing is what I think the Colts do is they look at it as a group. What did our wide receivers do? What did our tight ends provide us? Did they provide us the downfield? Did they provide us the blocking that we needed? Like I said earlier, with Mo Alley, did they block downfield after the running back or the receiver has got the ball? So like I said, me personally, I like the idea of keeping Doyle in close, protecting Carson, send Mo Alley or Kylan Granson or whatever, and keep yourself diversified that way. And then that way, every once in a while you slide Jack out of protection down the seam, and next thing you know, old man Jack's going for 45, 50 yards. I'll take that.
Shout out to MTS that just donated $25 to the stream. Thank you so much for the donation. Really helps out. He says, "What's up, nerds? Happy not hump day, but Tuesday? WTF, I am ready for the season. Let's go, Colts." Yes, I agree. No hump day stream. We might do one tomorrow. I don't know. I haven't thought about. Wait, I think I might have something planned for tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure. But man, we're like what, 82 days away from the beginning of the season, something like that. And we all really excited about waiting for that season to start, man, because we want to see preseason games. You can only see so much. And anything that happens in training camp, kind of throw out the window, because we've all seen Indianapolis Colts have training camp heroes that fall dead during the season, right? Nowhere to be seen. So we got to see what's up. Preseason is going to be fun, obviously, because we're going to be able to see guys that we won't be able to see during the season, like Jacob Eason and Ellinger and guys like that, right? But week 1 versus Seattle, I'm really excited about seeing that game. And I'm really hoping that my prediction for that game comes true. But again, MTS, thanks so much for the donation. Appreciate that. If you have any questions or suggestions about anything, Feel free, drop them in there. Anthony Hurt says, I'm ready to see our offensive calls with Nick Sirianni gone. Because he don't believe that Frank Reich needed him to help him. What are your thoughts about the new OC and what he brings as opposed to what Nick Sirianni brings?
From what I understand it, we heard from, Frank Reich incorporated his thoughts and stuff already. Granted, he was down the food chain. He was a quarterback's coach. He didn't have quite as much say. But I would have to believe that whenever you've got somebody who's working hand in hand with your 17-year veteran, that whatever his input, whatever him and, Rivers discussed, I think probably had to make a pretty strong appearance in the game plan and stuff. You know what I mean? So I do think that the play calling is going to be a lot different, but I don't think it's as much a Sirianni to Brady thing. I think it's more of a Rivers to Carson thing. You know what I mean? I think just the style, the mobility, the more diversified options and stuff, I think that's what's going to be interesting to see. And like you said, we're not going to see that until week 1, week 2,
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I agree. I think, I like the Marcus Brady thing with Frank Reich because to me, Nick Sirianni and Frank Reich were very similar. We heard about it while he was here. Very similar in their offensive schemes, how they drew up plays, how they call plays offensively. Brady's a little different, right? He's more of the RPO type guy, who will implement that. I think that's going to be something that will help Frank Reich because he's going to help him draw up plays and call plays that'll be beneficial for Carson Wentz, as you say, rather than having Rivers back there. Jody Durbin, thanks for joining the stream. Thank you so much. I do not have any worries about Darius Leonard. He has a lot of energy and won't slow down, in my opinion. Yeah, that's pretty much what I said. He's got the energy to, before the ball is snapped, make sure everything's going. The only thing is how good is he at multitasking, right? That's the only thing it's going to deal with. He's got the energy. He won't slow down that way. But how well is he going to be able, since he's making the calls and making sure everyone's set and in position before the ball is snapped, how good is he going to be able to do that? Make sure there's 11 guys on the field and not 13. Things of that nature, all at once, keeping track of everything. We're going to find that out this year for the first time.
how confident is he? How confident is he in making these, or making these adjustments? Because obviously, they call the defense in, but then there's checking out and stuff. And that's my question. It wasn't that I didn't think Darius was able to do it. I was just more interested is how confident would he be in making these audibles and getting the team in the right place at the right time?
Yeah, that's a good question. Did the Colts sign somebody? Transactions. Get into the transactions. Hold on. I'm not seeing anything. I don't see anything in here. There was a question in here. Sorry. Someone came in. Caleb Smith said, "Didn't we just sign a linebacker from the Cardinals?" I don't see that. If you guys know about it, let me know. If you have his name or something, drop it in the chat so I can look it up, because I don't see anything about that in news. Sorry guys, I'm just going through the chat here looking for stuff. What you guys talking about? Keep an eye on Strachan, Hazel says. Reich mentioned him positively in an interview. Another tongue twister for me, sorry. No, I loved our press interview with him. Michael's a really good guy, well spoken, and I think that he will fit in. He'll make the team. Um, I I think the Colts, if they have to have 7 wide receivers, I think the Colts are deeper at wide receivers than a lot of people believe. There's going to be guys that will not make the team that were on the team last year, like Doolin or somebody of that nature. Just, I really do believe that. Okay. Um,
I know
Anyhow,
Nomadic Brian had asked in the chat here about Golden Tate. I guess what's your opinion on that?
I don't think we need him. I think we're way deep at wide receiver. I think there's a reason why the Colts didn't go, well, let's go for Julio. Even, I mean, yes, we didn't have a second or first round pick to get him. But the fact of the matter was, I don't think they even attempted to. The Colts haven't tried to go out and get anyone really at wide receiver because I believe that they have a lot of faith in the abilities of the young wide receiving core that we have. Just like running backs. I don't think the Colts are out there really looking for running backs. They have faith in the guys that we have. They might sign some camp bodies, but I don't think that there's going to be any big splash signings. I don't think Golden Tate will be a Colt. If Golden Tate goes anywhere, I think he could end up. If he's looking to go somewhere to win, he won't go to Houston. But Houston does, never know. They have wide receivers there. They just don't have a quarterback right now. I think Jacksonville is loaded at wide receiver. I think the Colts are loaded at wide receiver. I think the Titans could use another wide receiver because I don't think that slot receiver that they signed from the Rams is as good as what they believe he is. After watching the tape, I don't think so. I think Tate will go somewhere that need wide receiver help. Maybe Miami. Maybe he goes to Miami. Who knows? But I don't think the Colts would be interested in him too much. He's an older guy too.
And I don't really think that the Colts. I think they're going to stand pat now, and then get through training camp and have these rosters chopped down and stuff before I think that they would do anything else aside from maybe signing on. Doing some contract stuff. I can't really see them doing a whole lot until after camp gets started and, injuries or whatever may force their hand on stuff.
All right. Again, Matthew Stansberry, thanks so much for the donation from earlier. Still looking in here. We're over an hour now, so I am going to be killing this stream here pretty soon. But just to let you know, JDW thinks that Kylan, not Brian, Kylan Granson, says that he thinks he'll be amazing. Unless there's a Brian Granson that I know that's on the team. But I have faith in him. The only thing that I don't have faith, I hope that the drops aren't an issue. I get it. He only had it in 2 different games during his career in college, but I have no problem with his blocking. I have no problem with his route running. I don't want to see stretches where he just can't hold on to the football when it's thrown to him. That's the only issue I have. Great kid, great personality, fun-loving. Does not have any issues laughing right there on camera at you, which I have no problem with him. Really like the kid.
Very confident.
Yes, very, very confident. I thought Matt Stansberry said I'm not a fan of smart players. No, he says he is a fan of smart players. Obviously, you're gonna like smart players. It'd be better to have if you could have Darius Leonard with a 180 IQ or a Darius Leonard with a 90 IQ, I think we all will take the 180. What's up, Swaggy? He's in the chat watching the stream. Appreciate you being here, my guy. Guys, if you like the Pacers or NBA or anything of that nature, man, go check out Swaggy. He also talks Colts once in a while. Go check out Swaggy on YouTube, man. He's pretty cool. He's pretty awesome. He's got a bigger following than I do. Why am I shouting you out? You should be shouting me out. No, just kidding, man. I appreciate you being here. And I've had him on my stream a few times. He's really cool. Guys, I'm getting ready to get out of here. I am tired. Martin Hazel says we did not need Julio. We do not need Tate. And I agree with you. Guys, yeah, I think I'm done here. I appreciate everyone. JDW, Colts Law struggling to talk. Welcome to my world. Yeah. Every once in a while, a word just like makes me struggle, you know. I don't know why. You ever sit here and you start talking and you know there's a specific word that you're trying to say, and for some reason it's in the back of your mind, but it won't come to the front, and you're just stuck there trying to find that word?
And the camera always seems to magnify it.
Right? It's awful. It happens to me so much. So I just end up talking over that word and just skipping it or throwing a different word in there. It might not even make sense, you know. I might be trying to think of the word go, right? And I can't get it to come out. And I'll be like I might be wanting to say, we need to go because we've been running for an hour and 6 minutes now. And I won't use the word go. You know, I'll be like, we need to get on out of here. You know, or something, even though I wanted to use go. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching the stream. I appreciate you guys so much. 28 viewers right now. Please don't forget to smash that like button. Joseph Schmidt want to get his little comment in. Where would Tate fit in? Nowhere. I don't see anywhere where Tate would make this team better. I think every position there's. I asked Marcus Brady, you know, about the diversity that he has at the skill positions, and he loves it. He thinks it's great. Why would we need Tate? We have youth and diversity at all the skill positions. I think we're fine sitting where we're at. The only way we'll get better is if you go out and get like a young superstar playmaker, right? And we might already have that on the team because they're so young, you don't know what their potential is yet, what they're capable of. And you won't know unless you give them the snaps so they can show it. So until then, hey, Loyalists, tell everybody a little bit about you and where they can find you. I know you're my co-host, but, you know, not everybody here knows who you are. So shout yourself out and tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
All right. Everybody calls me Colts Loyalist. I'm a father of two. Been a fan of the Colts since they moved here in '84. And I'm on Twitter under Colts_Loyalist 56. I don't remember if it has an underscore. But and then, yeah, I'm pretty much just here and surfing the channels and stuff and putting my 2 cents in on shows like yours and just love talking Colts. Yeah.
Nomadic Brian with the word of the day, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And the only reason I can say that is because I'm old enough to have seen the movie. Okay? All right. Until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Loyalist. And as usual, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.